All right, Shalom. First, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Makakwadash. Double honors to our apostles, a great millstone that rule with honor and with diligence. Honest you brothers out there pushing this word and love and sincerity to wake up the elect. Peace be to the elect and their families, those that change according to the word, calling on the names of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, in time of trouble. Say, peace be unto you. May the Lord have mercy on you in these evil times that we're living in. Definitely, we're living in evil times. And may you brothers and sisters out there listening and learning, may you grow in the spirit and be protected as well as we enter into these times of Jacob's trouble. You know, may all the spirit be with all the elect and through these times, man, because things are getting real serious. We just did a lesson on how they're about to come after Jake now, but I recently found an article that prompted me to even do just another quick lesson before we go to camp here in a few. This is an article that I was looking at. It says immigration detention has become a booming business for private prison giants. Okay? Private prisons. Not federal prison. That's not where you go in front of a judge and where you say, well, the judge tell you broke this law. The penitentiary is federal prison. But these private prisons are those martial law camps that we was telling Jake about. We was telling y'all about these martial law camps that have been being set up all over the United States and are still being set up all over the United States. But Jake don't want to listen, man. Like, when you find yourself in bad situations, man, you're going to wish you had listened. Listen to this. It says, private prison giants now hold 90% of detained immigrants and aim to triple capacity for $1.5 billion in revenue. So they're basically hunting the northern kingdom of our people right now. They're hunting the so-called Latin tribes and the southern kingdom. The southern kingdom is soon to follow, man. Now these prison giants are looking to increase revenue by 1.5 billion. By what? Holding these people hostage in these jails. They're expected to triple capacity. So that means they're going to build more prisons, more concentration camps for you Jakes. And the big scare went out. Well, they're going to come after us too. There's a couple of Jakes that got their heads screwed on straight that figured it out. Yeah, they're going to come after us too. So like the camera turned and let me fix that problem. But look at this. It says the Corvick Inc. California City Immigration Processing Center stands in Kern County, desert awaiting reopening as a federal as a federal immigrant detention facility under the contract of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement in California City. It says, truth is vital without news, a living history of political struggle. If we think our work is valuable, support us, blah, blah, blah. Okay, it says, this article has been adapted from an excerpt of The Prison Industry, How It Works, and how it profits. It says, amid escalating anti-immigration rhetoric and legislative crackdowns at the state and federal levels, private prison corporations are once again expanding their grip on U.S. detention policy. In fact, today, roughly 90% of detained immigrants are held in privately operated facilities, the highest share in history. Says the industry exists despite years of promise to phase out for-profit incarceration that started in 2016 with President Barack Obama, yeah, everything is President Barack Obama's fault. It says, and were renewed by President Joe Biden. You know, they passed these laws to start these private prisons for people that they torture in Abu Ghraib prison. So, if those prisons were created to torture those people at that time, what do you think these prisons are being created to do? You know? It says exclusively on the Bureau of Prisons. Wait, hold on. It said, unfortunately, these promises focus exclusively on the Bureau of Prisons and excluded immigration detention. As such, through their presidencies, most federal contracts with private prison corporations remain untouched in immigration detention space. Yeah, but you know the way we're going, it's going to expand beyond immigration, because they've already said, look, we can imprison you outside of the country. You know, hey, if we see you, we deem you as a threat to society. Look, if we deem you as, you know, a problem, what do they call it? I forgot what they call it. A menace to society. You know, if they deem you a menace to society, they can take you and cast you into one of these prisons, whether they be here and they're owned by other people, or whether they be in other countries. You know, and Jake think we just a joke. Jake think we just fucking off when we say these things. But what you're gonna soon find out is the Spirit of the Lord been speaking through his men. You know? It says, now with another Trump presidency, the industry is instead preparing for explosive growth. And recent earnings calls Corvick executives announced plans to triple the number of beds in their facilities within a few months. That would mean an additional $1.5 billion in revenue for the corporation, more than doubling its annual earnings. You know, so if they're seeking to build these beds, what are they seeking? They're seeking to continue to grab up Jakes. No, the northern kingdom of our people, the Latin tribes, they now they want to continuously oppress you now. You know, because they're showing you that you know, hey, you're just another version of us. There's no difference between the so-called black man and the Latin tribes male. We're all oppressed together in this place, man. We're all oppressed together. You know, just like the scriptures say, you know, that we'll be oppressed together. You know? This is Salakia. This is Isaiah 42 and 22. Salakia. Isaiah 42 and 22. But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses. They are for a prey, and none delivered for a spoil, and none saith restore. And we've always took up the whole of the majority of the industrial prison complex, because it was structured for us. It was structured to oppress us. You know? That's why, you know, the so-called white man, he commits certain offenses, he gets a slap on the wrist. If we committed those same offenses, we get put under the jail. You know? So now they're like, okay, well, we have these we got these niggas in lower state. You know, we got these so-called blacks in lower state. We got them right where we want. They'll destroy themselves before they destroy us. Now they need a new victim to oppress, and the new victim is the Northern Kingdom, the so-called Latin tribes. You know, and some of that oppression is going to hit the Native American Indians. They just pulled over some Native American women, some Gadite women, and told them, where are you from? And then they got their ass cursed out by those Gadak women. We were the first ones here. Where are you from? Yeah, and they had to scurry off looking crazy. You know, those Gadak women wasn't taking no shit. You know, but yeah, man, they're spending the prison industrial complex. These private prisons are not going to just be for the Latin tribes. They're not just going to be for the Northern Kingdom tribes. They're going to get you Jakes too, and they're going to toss you right in there with the Northern Kingdom tribes. Just don't think because you was born here in America that you're going to be safe. Don't think for 1 minute that you in a good space because you was born here in America. You know, because they already were looking to end birthright citizenship. You know, and they can expand that to however whatever. This man he does what he wants. You know. Let me see if it's some more this article. It says, meanwhile, growing scrutiny of immigration detention practices has led to reports of abuse, medical neglect, and deaths in custody. Privatization with the cost cutting practices. Salakia. It says privatization with the cost cutting practices that define it is the structural driver of human rights violations at these facilities. So these people are in these facilities, and there's people dying in custody. You know, there's people having medical neglect issues. You know, there's people being actually abused. They might be women getting raped. It might be men getting beat up. You know, and the cause of these medical deaths might be according to the abuse that's being given to these people. You know, who's to say if they not just holding these people, they holding these people in these buildings, and they pulling Squid Games shit on these on our people, or in the purge where they was hunting the people down. Who's to say if they not killing them? They're saying there's abuse that's leading to people dying in custody. So who's to say if they're not purposely killing people? Who knows? You know, it says we discussed this all at length in our recent release book, The Prison Industry, How It Works and Who Profits, blah, blah, blah. It says, but as we also explain, private prison corporations are just one piece of a sprawling prison industry. The U.S. Uh, 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 carceral system is comprised of a vast and deeply entrenched network of public-private partnerships that make billions from incarceration and detention every year. It says commissary corporations mark up basic hygiene items like toothpaste, tampons by 300%. You already in jail, but if somebody send you some money to take care of yourself, you being charged 300% more than what you would on the streets. It says private healthcare providers routine deny and delay treatment are contributing to suffering and preventable deaths behind bars. It says private food vendors serve meals that are frequently expired or nutritionally inadequate, all in the name of cutting costs and maximizing returns. So they don't care. Once they get you and they lock you up in these places, yeah, that's an alarm. I'm trying to let this so like it. Yeah, it says private healthcare providers routinely deny and delay treatment. Okay, I read that. So I'm not gonna read this whole thing. This is on truthout.org. Well, it was a new site that I ran across. You could check it out for yourself. But I'm gonna get this last scripture because we about to start camping in a minute. It's Revelations 2:10, it says, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So some of us going to be cast into these prisons. You know? And people think that, oh, these are just for people that don't belong here. No, they're for people, hey, in this society, Jakes don't belong. They've made it painfully obvious that they don't want you to have the same rights as them. You're 3/5 of a human being according to the Constitution as it is this day. So what makes you think that they won't put you in the same situation? They're setting it up to where, hey, eventually people gonna start getting snatched off the street. People gonna start getting snatched up, and they not gonna come home. You know, people gonna get into these altercations with the cops, and they not gonna come home. It says, "You shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life." It says, "He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. He that overcometh shall not be hurt of the second death." You know? Hey, but the Lord is going to deliver us, man. Whatever we go through, if we get caught up in one of these places, the Spirit is going to be with us. You know? You got to remember those stories like what happened to Daniel in the lion's den. And Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. You know? You got to remember those stories of what happened to people where they got put in positions where they were locked up to be tortured to death. And the Lord delivered them, man. You know? But yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna give all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Kakodash, double honors to our apostles, honors to you brothers out there pushing the word. Shalom.